Zombie, zombie, eh, eh, eh.
Have we used zombie as a cold open yet?
I don't think so.
Great. This is
Oh,
our
fuck,
new one
already?
right here.
God damn it. I thought you were in between.
What up, and welcome to another episode of Brotherhood Without Manners, your favorite full spoiler reread podcast of George R.R. Martin's A Song of Ice and Fire series. I'm Nate, and here sitting next to me, sharing my air, which I wish you would stop doing.
Your air.
Zach.
What up? I'm glad to be talking to someone with an IQ higher than 4. That's you.
I got
Nate
that.
has the
I
IQ lower than 4, everyone. Hi, we're back in this bitch, and we're doing our thing with a Storm of Swords. What up?
What up?
So last you heard of the books, we were in the Red Wedding, and that was sad. Sad times for all.
This is the end.
The Starks are not thrilled to be here.
There's not many Starks left here, so...
That sucks to suck. Edmure's a prisoner. People are sad, big sad. People are dead, big dead.
Kat's dead. Rob's dead. Rob's wife is not.
So, now we're in the downward slope. The real juice, because everything was kind of leading up to the Red Wedding, and now the rest of Storm and the Purple Wedding also leading up to, but the rest of Storm is kind of the fallout of the Red Wedding, which I love. I absolutely love this post. What do we do in the shitstorm that follows? And so, yeah, today we're on Tyrion.
Tyrion's 6.
The first POV we get to interact with after watching the Starks die.
Which is super fun, doing that hard cut from up at the Twins down to King's Landing. Just, nope, we're done there for a minute.
Yeah, it's interesting because he could have gone through Sansa and shown different things through a different lens, and her initially finding out maybe, but Tyrion's a fun choice to open us up with. It has been a minute for Nate and I IRL as far as recording, and so jumping back into this chapter especially was fun because Martin is just kind of brilliant at painting the scene. So, Tyrion 6, A Storm of Swords. Here we fucking go.
Yeah, so we're starting off with Tyrion eating some supper.
Dinner time.
With Sansa.
Weird.
No, it's not.
Not Sansa, the whole situation here.
Oh, him being married to her? Yeah,
this
sure.
Awkward dinner, yeah.
He's got Podrick there, is also doing his squire thing, serving them. But, so we start off with Sansa complaining. I don't want to call it complaining, just kind of commenting that the peas are cold.
Well, Tyrion does that, right? And then she
starts, and then he's like, yeah, no, whatever. So is the mutton.
The mutton was overdone.
Being, in her position, she immediately is like, sorry, my bad. Like, I didn't mean to point. And he's like, fuck.
You didn't cook the meal, Sansa, so why are you sorry? And she's like, I'm sorry that you're upset because you're my lord husband. And yeah, it's this brilliant Martin's using the dinner, and then he uses religion here at the end of it, but to show the tension between the two, this whole gorge of distance that neither one of them wants to be here, and they can't even enjoy a dinner together without bumping and stumbling over each other just in the way they exist.
Right, and for it to come, this dinner to come immediately after the chapters that we just got with a whole different dinner where there's still this level of tension, but for a whole different reason. She's aware of what Tywin is expecting of her, what the realm is expecting of her now that she's with him.
She's dreading having to have Tyrion's kid.
And he's livid at the fact that he's in this position where these things are expected of them.
But we find out Tyrion is actually less so than the dinner, more stressing his nephew, the king, his father, and the Dornish, because as we've learned that Tyrion has housed the Dornish as far as possible away from the Tyrells without actually putting them outside the city. But even still, there's been conflicts already. There's been a man dead, killed, down in the alleys and shit, and it's
caused majorly by Olenna calling Alaria Sand, the serpent's whore.
I mean,
And I love that we're getting those Olenna tidbits of just...
Alaria should own it. Like, the Serpent's Horse is a
Fuck
pretty
yeah.
dope name. Like, so yeah, and every time Tyrion has seen Prince Oberyn, he's asking about his justice that he wants so goddamn badly.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, it's this. Then Tyrion has this extremely human moment where, like, to prove how little the peas, how inconsequential they are to him, he's like, "Here, I'll have more," and heaps them onto his plate, and then is like, "Fuck,
I don't want that many
now
peas.
I have to eat them," and like to prove the point, or she's gonna feel bad. And like we've all been there where we do that quick fucking decision of like, yeah, no, give me more, I loved it, and then it's
shit, they weren't that great.
like it was good, but yeah, I'm not ready for a whole nother plate full. And so that just made me LOL, because like, yeah, you kind of went a little overboard there with the peas. But she then, after dinner, asks to be excused to go pray in the Godswood, as has become a nightly thing for her. And then Tyrion even notes that she's also been lighting candles to all of the seven, and he thinks it's a bit excessive, but he kind of gets it that she's probably down there praying for her brother to fuck up his family in this war.
Whoopsie.
And so at one point he's like, haha, LOL, maybe one day I'll accompany you and you can teach. And she's like, no.
That's my one spot. You'd be bored as fuck. It's
right.
Silent prayer and just sitting there thinking to myself all alone,
and
quietly.
Then, right, his hubris. He's like, oh, like she does know me. I would be bored.
I do really like that line from him, like,
she knows
giving
me better
her
than I thought.
a compliment of like, she knows me more than I thought she knew me, and like she's quick to learn that already.
But it's also that straight up, right, this is my sanctuary, leave me the fuck alone. It's the only place I can go where there isn't some Lannister schlub sniffing around.
Right.
And so yeah, it's good stuff. So she scoots, and Tyrion begins to attempt to continue sorting out the ledgers that Littlefinger has left him, because it's all a mess. And then he's also kind of pissed because he's like,
because I sneeze. It's fucking wild.
Gross.
Hey man, life happens.
He is also pissed because he wouldn't have launched the Antlermen over the walls if he known how much they owed the crown in debts. So
right.
It's all these realizations of who actually owed them money, and they may be dead, and then he's debating whether or not he should send Bronn to, pursue the families or the next of kin, but the luck of that is probably very slim. And so he's actually relieved when Boros Blount shows up and is like, hey, Daddy-O wants to see you at the Tower of the Hand. And he's like, fucking sick.
Great. Wonderful.
So
I'm so
he
sick
heads
of this
out.
shit.
It's a brisk night. He feels rain, and he's like, oh, I should probably retrieve Sansa after, because, like, she's in the Godswood, and it is cold, and it's going to rain. But then that all kind of whoop as he enters the Tower of the Hand and sees his father, and Sir Kevin, and Cersei, and Joffrey, and Pycelle all gathered. And
Giddy as fuck.
Yeah, Joffrey is vibrating with happiness. And yeah, Tyrion, of course, is perturbed. He's like, what the fuck happened? And Tywin hands him the scroll, which is the vague, Rosalind caught a fine fat trout, and her brothers gifted her 2 wolf pelts. And he's like, is this Walder Frey thinking he's fucking got some flowery language skills, or what?
He's a poet.
And Joffrey can't contain it. Like, he's fucking, Mr. Robstock is dead! And Tyrion's like, holy shit, you would think he opened Rob's throat himself. Joffrey is manic in this, and it's wild.
He's
I
crazy.
love it. It's insane, but Tyrion immediately thinks of Sansa praying in the Godswood, probably for her mother and brother's safety at that very moment.
And he's like, yeah, cruel. It seems like the war's winning itself for us. And Cersei's like, no.
Father is.
Dad did it. Dad did it.
Dad.
Fucking
suck up Cersei this
Dad
chapter.
won.
I love it, dude. She's such a
and Tywin immediately shuts her down. He's like, no, we didn't win. Like, there's still enemies out there, and just goes into his plan on what they're doing to tighten it up and finish out the war.
Yeah, with Edmure currently captured, River Run shouldn't be an issue. They won't dare attack. Tywin means to offer generous terms to those who remain and spare any castle that bends the knee. All of them except for one, and even Tyrion's able to guess that be Harrenhal, because fuck Harrenhal. And Tywin says that it's past time these brave companions were dealt with and wiped off the map, so he's sending Gregor Clegane to put the entire castle to the torch.
Gregor?
And Tyrion's even like, oh, well, great, because Littlefinger's set to inherit that, and so he gets to claim it without getting an ounce of fucking blood on his pretty little robes.
Typical.
And then he hopes that Littlefinger crashes into the sea and dies, but that
Don't
doesn't
we all?
happen. So, yeah, Joffrey wants everyone dead. He'll have no generous terms,
right, because in
grandfather.
Tywin's plans, he's saying, we'll give those river lords who bend the knee and offer them generous terms, and he's like, no generous terms, kill them all.
They're all
fucking
traitors.
Everybody, fucking kill them.
He also, of course, wants Robb Stark's head because he means to present it to Sansa and make her kiss it, the savage little animal.
Dude, I put here that Kevin straight up is like, bro, like, what do you...
Yeah.
Chill, man. Like, whoa. You're getting way out of control, kid.
Sire, she is your aunt by marriage. And Cersei, of course, tries to bat. He's joking.
I'm not kidding.
I'm dead serious, bitch. Like,
Murder them all and give me the head.
And, of course, this is when Tyrion steps in to defend his wife. And, no, she is no longer yours to torment and calls him a monster.
Love it.
Joffrey throws it back at him, and Tyrion delivers the line which Dinklage kind of made infamous. Yeah, a very well portrayed delivered line of the, if I'm a monster, then speak softly, because kings die.
Kings are dropping like flies.
They die easy, little bitch.
Especially now. He just said that. Like, hey, it looks like kings are dying and the war is winning itself for us. You're one of them, motherfucker.
Yeah. Then there's, of course, the affrontedness at his threat to the king.
Dude, yeah, and point out right here, before we end up getting there in a few chapters, the group that's currently present as he's making this quote-unquote threat.
Right.
Pycelle,
For his
Cersei,
trial.
Tywin, the perfect witnesses of let's get him screwed and turn and twist everything on him.
Yeah, Joffrey's getting all pissy, and but Cersei's trying to calm him, and she's like, let him make his just. I want father and my uncle to see him for what he is. She's still playing this fucking bullshit. And eventually Tywin even basically tells her to shut up, Cersei. Like, enough.
And this is when he gets told by Joffrey that he was scared of Aerys. You are scared of Aerys Targaryen.
Well, because he explains to Joffrey that sometimes, in order to rule, a king has to know when to strike fear into men and when to lift them up off their knees.
Right.
And, if you, think everyone should just have their tongues ripped out, you should talk to ill and pain and all that shit. And then tells him the only head that you need to be concerned with is Marjorie Tyrell's maidenhead because you need to put a child in her. And yeah, he gets all sulky and bitchy and then jumps out with the, well, my father fucking, a king acts boldly and my father won the war and fought Rhaegar, took the crown, and...
You were scared.
Tywin sends Joffrey to bed. Like, okay, we're done with this.
I was paying considerable attention to the way that he was escorted out by Kevin. Like, Kevin grabbed him like an impotent child and walked him from the room.
Merches him.
Get me some dream wine. This kid needs a nap now.
Yeah, because of Tywin's command.
Yeah.
For sure.
And so Tywin clears everybody else out. Cersei kind of hangs back for
Well,
a minute
Tyrion
too.
and Cersei are told to stay. And Cersei immediately begins apologizing while Tyrion eggs shit on. And he's like, you remember when he said you hit under Casterly Rock? That was a good part.
That was a good one. He got you.
And Tywin kind of goes off on Cersei, being like, yeah, you told me that like he had no love of his father. I will not have Robert II on the throne, is what he says, and I like that a lot.
Yeah.
And so
Tyrion's like, yeah, no, Aerys the Third.
Yeah, because Cersei's like, he doesn't. I remember, like, Robert used to beat him and would beat him harder if I didn't step in and used to tell him that a king must be bold, and so...
I also like where, because in that Tywin goes, and where were you while he was telling him that a king should be bold? What have
you been telling him? Yeah, and so he sends her out, and Cersei's fucking seething, but... And yeah, that's when Tyrion drops the banger line of not Robert II, but Aerys III. And Tywin's like, well, he's young. There's time. He needs a sharp lesson. And Tyrion recalls his own sharp lesson, which would be Tysha. Which, hold that thought. Put a pin in Tysha for just like 30 seconds, everybody. We'll come back to it. Because they begin to Tyrion points out that Tywin is pacing to the window and is like visibly upset more than he likes to show. And
he was way more bothered by Joffrey's comments and the situation at hand.
So yeah, Tyrion then congratulates him on his plotting with Walder Frey, and he says that he mislikes that word, which, you pedantic motherfucker. But
right, he doesn't care that he did it. He doesn't like that you're using the word plotting to describe it.
Tyrion bitches about not being told. He doesn't like being left in the dark, and then he asks if Cersei was told, and Tywin goes on this rant about the only people who were told were people who had a part to play in it, because especially here, I didn't speak of it because I didn't want the plan getting out. And Tyrion, you're clever, but your issue is you talk way too fucking much.
I love how much that's highlighted.
And that's going to be your downfall, is that you just think you're so clever and can talk circles that you give so much away. And he's not wrong by this point, and I really just like him calling him out like that. So Tywin then turns his talk to appeasing Oberyn, who then Tyrion asks, oh, right, is it true that he, tried to raise Dorne for Viserys? And Tywin confirms that it indeed was. No one will confirm it or talk about it, but ravens flew, secret messages were sent, but Jon Arryn went down there and quashed all that. But I love that little detail because that's sort of the prelude to, his name is completely... Not Oberyn's brother.
Doran?
Doran
Prince
Martell.
Doran?
Yeah, Prince Doran. His plot with him and
right, yes,
marrying the
dragons.
the son. Yes, marrying his family to the dragons. And so, yeah, then they kind of shit talk each other for a hot minute about Tyrion being dressed in motley and getting to talk shit about Joffrey, and Tywin says that he was forced to suffer his father's follies. He's not going to take Tyrion's shit anymore. And then Tywin indicates that he has absolutely zero fuck-all intent of giving Sir Gregor over to the Dornish for their justice.
Oh?
And Tyrion's actually pretty how do you plan on? And he's
Gregor didn't do it.
Right.
It wasn't him.
Gregor didn't do it, so I'm going to keep him far away. He's going to be burning shit down. And then when Oberyn comes to collect, we're just going to tell him Amory Lorch did it.
That piece of shit.
And he got torn up by a bear in Harrenhal, and Oberyn's going to fucking love that. So, it's all good. And Tyrion's like, all right, I guess that might work,
but
sure.
He's going to come after the person who gave him the order. Oh, no. He went all off on his own to try and prove himself worthy. We didn't give him any commands to that. They were supposed to come to us alive. And then I like that Tyrion turns it with why did Gregor kill them?
The children.
And Tywin tells him, because I didn't tell them to spare them. I didn't say don't do it. And so
right, and he says, I don't even know if I ever mentioned Elia at all that day. My concerns were much more on Ned Stark and avoiding crossing any swords with him if I could, and Jaime, because I knew it was in the Mad King to kill Jaime purely out of spite, or Jaime himself doing something stupid, and so I didn't tell him not to. And then he was like, and even Amory Lorch isn't clean of any of this because of what he did to Rhaenys.
Right.
And I confronted him and asked him why it took 100 stabs to kill a child of 2 or 3, and he replied that she kicked and screamed when he did it.
Ugh.
And he was like, a soft silk pill, and Elia shouldn't have happened at all, but the children had to die. And he says that, I had to lay them at the feet of Robert's throne to prove
you could see the
allegiance.
relief on Robert.
Because Robert even knew that they had to die, so the Targaryen claim died with them. But Robert was the hero and couldn't kill children. And so I solidified Lannister place on Robert's regime while also, brutalizing children. And so, yeah, it's some shit that comes out. And then he says the thing that absolutely fucking gets me, which is, the rape. I would hope that not even you would accuse me of giving that order. Which Tywin fucking Lannister says that. Which he's saying it to Tyrion, who he made watch a whole garrison of men rape the woman that he thought he loved and had that whole effect.
Fuck
Holy
you.
shit, Tywin is a piece of shit. It's a pretty wild.
Yeah, because then he immediately goes into, I mean, a little bit after, but he'll be talking about Sansa needing to be impregnated, because he lays out the plans from there, where they're gonna take the north with Roose and.
Well, yeah, Tyrion then asks, was it a silk pillow that you gave Robb Stark? And Tywin says, no, it was an arrow, and during Edmure's wedding, and Tyrion was like, and Catelyn, yeah, she went too. Tywin reveals that the intent was originally to take Catelyn prisoner, but something must have gone wrong, and so she ended up dead as well. He's assuming, because even he said the two pelts, yep. And then, basically, Tyrion challenges him a little bit on it, words and quills, and he gives the line, which Charles Dance also delivers, why is it more noble to kill 1,000 men in battle than a dozen at dinner? And when Tyrion has no answer to that, he says the price was cheap enough anyway. So yeah, that's when he starts laying it out. River Run will go to Emmon Frey once the Blackfish is dealt with. Lancel and Davin will marry Frey girls. Joy will marry one of Lord Walder Frey's natural sons when he comes of age, or she comes of age, and Roose Bolton becomes Warden of the North and takes Arya Stark. And Tyrion's head spins for a minute.
Hold on a minute.
And he's like, nah, Varys and Sir Jacelyn looked for a year for the girl. She's gone.
She's presumed dead, bro.
And Tywin has a couple banger lines here, because he says, so is Renly until the Blackwater. Wink number. Look at the camera and wink number one. And then he says, basically, maybe Littlefinger will succeed me where you and Varys failed me.
Yeah, so he's literally, Martin is saying, we've had other people who are not the person they're saying they are, Renly.
Who portrayed someone who was dead, right.
And then now immediately mentioning Littlefinger found her when you guys couldn't. You didn't need the actual Arya Stark for a lot of this.
Right, we just needed a girl who could pass off.
Oh, here we go.
Sorry, Jane.
Little
this is
Jane
horrible,
Poole.
but
this is for those show watchers who are just following along with us. Jane Poole doesn't really show back up ever again in the show after, season 1?
Yeah.
Episode 5?
Yeah.
She just vanishes.
She's not a thing.
And here she is. She's Arya Stark.
Yeah, she's got an awful fate in store for her. So Tywin's going to let the Dreadfort and the Ironmen fight it out and see if Bolton can't bring the Stark bannermen to heel. And come spring, they should all be ready to bend the knee. And then the North will go to Tyrion's son by Sansa Stark if, he gets the manhood enough to put a child in her. And Tyrion, of course, has the bite back of oh, yeah, no, I'm sure she'll let me into her pants now, right after I hold her hand and tell her that we just savagely murdered her mother and brother. So, you really cleared that runway for my landing. Thanks, Papa.
Right. Hey, my family completely destroyed and ignored guest right. I'm gonna rape you now.
How are your prayers to the gods praying for their safety? Well, I'm sorry to tell you, but all of your family's been murdered. So, you want to have sex now? You want to bump uglies? So, yeah, it's a very dour note. Tyrion is seemingly one of the more reasonable people in this chapter compared to the caricatures we get in both Joffrey and Cersei.
Right. And Pycelle, just because he's there.
Pycelle, right, the piece of shit. I like seeing Tywin shaken by just Joffrey's response and the whole. I do think he's a little shaken by the order.
This
by
whole
the Red
conversation
itself. I think he's aware that they just violated some sacred order shit.
Yeah, I think that this whole conversation is some of the most honest we've seen Tywin.
He's trying to divert so much blame, and it's wild.
Right. No, this is all Walder Frey.
Because
didn't do
this whole chapter is him trying to frame everything down to, I don't like the word plotting with Walder Frey.
Well, and that's one of those big things that Martin likes to push is history is written by the victors.
Right, exactly.
And
he's trying to frame it in a much different light.
Swaying it to show that the Lannisters come out squeaky clean.
Right.
And doing the
just
same
like
thing
they did in Robert's Rebellion.
With the sacking. Right.
We did this because it was necessary. Someone had to, and Robert couldn't. So I filled a need. And then I reprimanded. And again, it's, not to get too IRL, but it's the fucking cops that use over brutally tactics, get suspended for 3 weeks, and then are back on the fucking payroll. He slapped Amory Lorch's wrist and said, "Why did you stab a small child 50, 60 times? Oh, okay, that's bad." And then Amory Lorch is still in this position of power, still able to abuse children and youth. And it's the exact same thing with Gregor Clegane. He doesn't want to turn Gregor over because Gregor inspires fear in motherfuckers. Tool. Yeah. And it's that. He instills so much fear, it would be detrimental to our cause to get rid of him. I need him. He is a great tool. And so it's pure calculating, but it's this weird, even though this delivered such a blow to the Stark regime, Tywin seems almost more on edge and
very
backed into a corner.
Yeah.
And I think it's just because of the door he opened here with this move.
He knows that he has to be very careful how he moves into the closing of the war to ensure that his family remains where they are without suffering the same fate that the Starks just did.
Renly and Renly before him.
And Renly.
Like, kings are dying all around. And right now, it was clearly shown in this scene that Tywin is acting king, and so he would be the target. And it's that it seems like that crack is starting to show finally in the golden exterior army of one Tywin Lannister. And so this was fucking phenomenal for a chapter to jump back into, and seeing the Starks' reaction to it, the pure glee, the smug smile from Joffrey and Cersei, thinking that everything is fucking fine and in order, even down to Cersei's dumb, like, well, the River Lords wouldn't dare, and Tywin is going through it step by step of, like, you know, Jason Mallister will, Tytos Blackwood will, just on principle, but we can work them down. He can be kept at Seaguard, he can be swayed to turn on his out. Like, it's a...
Yeah, I like the level of conversation as it started with, you know, there's 5 of them, then there's 3 of them, then there's 2 of them.
And it gets more real and real as we go down the layers.
And
to where there's a brazen dislike between Tywin and Tyrion, and it's out in the open.
But there's also the mutual respect of family dynamics.
And understanding the situation of, like, Joffrey is a fucking menace right now.
Well, it's that Tyrion is the only one that he can actually have an honest conversation
besides
back
Kevin,
and forth.
I think.
Besides Kevin.
But Kevin, I think, is also even that's too subservient.
But he's too much of a yes man.
Tyrion challenges him.
He's just
and, like, will ask so what actually happened with the Targaryen kids? Did you actually tell Gregor to rape and kill Elia? Like,
come on.
And
now.
And then that Tywin getting a front.
Come on.
The rape. You would accuse me of the rape? Yeah, Dad, I would.
Sure would.
You remember my sharp lesson? And so
make her regret her life.
It's monstrous behavior by people in power, and it's fucking great. I love the backroom scenes.
The early seeding here in the end of Storms, the tail end of Storm,
of the Dornish plotline,
of the whole Dornish plotline
with Gregor's skull,
and the whole marriage pact, like that extends into, you know, should anything ever come of the future books, you know, that's in some unreleased chapters actually released chapters, early.
Yeah, and release. It's such a quick little slip in too of, like, Tyrion, like Tywin mentioning Oberyn and him being like, is it true that motherfucker actually tried to raise Dorne for Viserys? And Tywin even owning up and being like, yeah, no one will speak of it, but yeah, like, that happened. And, like, it's just a real cool reveal.
Here's the JFK file.
Right.
Like, and you get to see the assassination attempt.
In like about a book and a half, we'll get the explanation for that of Oberyn was trying to continue this long-made pact long ago to marry Dorne to the remaining Targaryen babes. And yeah, it was so cool to see it slipped in here, and Tywin to be the one to kind of give that info.
Right.
So yeah, I love the Dornish build-up. Oberyn slinking around, making everyone's life stressful is one of my favorite fucking things in existence. Sansa, of course, you want to just give her a hug. Jane Poole, you just want to protect her forever.
Man, that getting seated now too. We got the Arya Stark, Jane Poole,
we're
and
trying to skip over it,
which again extends all the way through to, you know, the pink letter. You know, and people wondering if that's referencing
Mance Raider's gonna save us all, y'all. So, like, he fucks Jon Snow up in the snow when they have their little battle for a reason, and that's to show us that, like, he's fine. He's fine. Okay, we're all fine. Hey, we're all fine. Jane Poole's gonna be fine. Mance Raider's gonna be fine. Jon Snow is probably going to be fine. I don't know. Next, though, we're doing Davos.
Okay, yes. So Davos.
Davos 5. Like I said, it's been a hot minute since
I'm very
we've
excited.
read. And so I do believe that this will be Dragonstone, because Dragonstone is currently in a very tense situation with the Red Woman kind of gaining control over things after Blackwater was a disaster. And so I believe this will be the news of the Stark death, the Red Wedding occurring.
Right, confirmation to her, because
Right.
she's, we had the ritual to start dropping kings.
And probably some more Edric Storm funness, I would assume.
Little Nedrick, dude. Neddy
but
Ned.
it's been a hot minute, so I can't really recall. So I guess you're going to have to just wait and listen to that episode to see what Davos is getting up to, our favorite little onion night.
That's it. So if you want to send us any thoughts or questions and anything like that, discussion topics, what's our email? withoutmannersbrotherhood@gmail.com.
Sure is.
That's the one. Again, we don't really do much on the socials these days, so don't even try.
Yeah, email is the best and/or / only way to reach us.
That's where you can get us.
And feel free to send us any kind of discussion, ask questions, or
and always
thoughts.
like and subscribe and leave reviews, though. We do like that. That helps us.
We are balls deep into Storm of Swords, and so let's knock this one out.
We're
and
not
then,
stopping anytime soon.
Yeah, head into Feast and then Dance, and we'll catch you on this gravy train next time.
Shut up, Zach. Bella de Harris.
Peace.